Hey guys, Fox Photo here, back with another photography tutorial. This time I'm gonna edit a picture. I'm gonna make it into a black and white in mostly in Lightroom. And what I'm gonna do is first I'm just gonna start off by making my horizon line straight, because I find that it's a bit crooked. Okay, that's good. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase my contrast, and I'm gonna come back to these and revisit them once I do the transformation to black and white. I'm gonna select Alt, I'm gonna drag on my whites just till I get a few dots. Same thing on the blacks, just till I get a few dots. I'm not gonna do any clarity or vibrance. I'm not gonna do my sharpening here. I'm gonna do chromatic aberration and profile corrections. This one's not important as much because I'm doing it in a black and white. So I'm gonna, this initially I'm gonna bring down the highlights and increase my shadows. Open up my shadows and bring down my highlights. Okay. And then I'm gonna click black and white. And this is gonna turn it black and white. But I find that it's still kinda dull. So two things that I like to do is I like to play with these sliders. First I'm gonna bring down the blue in the sky to make it more dramatic. You can see already what that did. Do the same thing with the aqua. Pull back a bit on the blue. Same thing here. Okay, and just check before, after, before, after. You can see it in the water and in the sky a bit, made it a bit more dramatic. Also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the gradient filter here and I'm gonna reset everything. I'm gonna go to like -1. And I'm just gonna click and drag down to make the sky a bit darker and more dramatic. I can go maybe a bit more like so. And it does make the mountain a bit darker. If you want, you can go back and with the shadows and just see here how it just targets this part, the shadow part, not the darker part, you know. So I'm just gonna do it a little bit, not too much, so it doesn't look fake, you know, like so. And let's just check before, after. Okay. And one thing I like to do also for my black and white is I go down here to dehaze, and I'm just gonna do a bit of dehaze, maybe like 18 or so. Let's just check before, after. Okay, it's already starting to look nice. I might increase the contrast a bit more. Open up the shadows a bit more. Now one more thing I'm gonna do also is I'm gonna reset my white point and black point. I mean, it is a black and white, so basically I wanna have a lot of white. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna just till I get a few whites. Same thing with the blacks. Maybe go a bit more. It's just how I like to, maybe like that. The white's not too much. Okay. So let's check before, after. Okay, I like that. I'm just gonna play with the reds here, see if it does anything. Maybe bring that down a bit to the oranges. You can see where it's targeting. Okay, I like that's starting to look nice. I might just do the whites a bit more, just a tiny bit. Here we go. And I'm just gonna crop this a bit because I want it to be like symmetrical. So like so, really nice. Okay, now I'm gonna go into Photoshop and I'm gonna go edit in Photoshop. Okay, and here what I'm gonna do is at first I'm gonna do new layer. I'm gonna set it to soft light and I'm gonna select white and select my brush, make it a bit smaller. Opacity is at 4%, keep it like low. And this is just to do like dodging and burning. Right now I'm gonna do the dodging part. So it just, if I want to just bring a bit more attention to something, I can come in here and dodge some of these parts. Where are the trees here? Okay, check before, after. Okay, and if I want to do new layer, select overlay, switch it to black, and if I want to make something a bit more darker, I can come in here, just a bit smaller. Just a fine detail like that. Yes, check before. Okay. Also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this layer also, go with a bigger brush, and I'm gonna use it to create a vignette around this. So I'm just gonna slightly paint around the edges with my brush like this. Do another pass. Basically it's gonna make a vignette too, you know. So I don't have to do it later, I just do it here. Okay, so I'm gonna click Alt Command Shift and E, and that's gonna make a new layer with everything underneath. Then I'm gonna go into the healing brush and I'm just gonna I'm gonna zoom in 100%. I'm just gonna scan to see if there's any dust spots on the sensor that might show up here. Because if you print this, you don't want to print it and you find out you're getting, it looks pretty clean. Okay, so I'm gonna fit on screen. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use that layer for sharpening. I'm gonna go to Filter, Other, High Pass, and keep it at 3 pixels for, you always use that for landscapes. And I'm gonna switch to either overlay or soft light. Oops, soft light. And to see the effect of it, I'm gonna zoom in. overlay, before, after. You can see the difference it does. It just makes it much more sharper. And if you find that it went too much and you don't like it, you can either decrease the opacity, or I like to sometimes use soft light, depends. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm gonna do. Is I'm gonna just do a web file, and I'm gonna go to actions. I like to and do 960, not a big file, horizontal. Click OK. Here I'm using the 20 Kuiper action panel. It just makes it quick to make a file ready for web, but you can just save it the regular way. Alrighty, so I'm gonna save that. Before I save it, I'm gonna switch to sRGB for web because I was working in ProPhoto RGB. Here we go. Okay. Now I can save that file as a JPEG and call it Lake Louise. Select JPEG, put it in band folder, and save. Oops, I already have that name. Call it Lake Louise, black and white. Okay, and if I save this file too, we'll come back into Lightroom. Takes some time. Okay, now I can close this. And here we're gonna get the final file in Lightroom, and you can check here. If I reset this to the beginning, this is what we started with, and this is what we ended up with. So pretty nice. Before, after.